Hello everyone and welcome to WrestleRecap. On this episode we will be covering Monday Night Raw. We're a little late getting this up. It will be the April 8th episode of Raw that we cover on this episode. We were a little behind because editing the WrestleMania episode and / debut episode took a bit, and my work schedule kind of threw everything into a tailspin. So we were late getting that up, which means now we're going to be late getting this up, as well as the NXT review, or I should say recap, that's going to be coming, and a SmackDown recap that's going to be coming. The news for this last week has already been posted at the time of this recording. We are actively working on making a new schedule with everything to make sure that we can get these videos out in a timely manner so that we aren't uploading all of them in one go to get them in before the next week. With that being said, I am Dylan Graives. I will be joined once again by John Sutton for the recap, and let's get into it. Alright, so Monday Night Raw opens up with Triple H coming out and talking about how they've got the limited production equipment because it's another sold out show. They were in the Wells Fargo Center in Philly, and it was the largest gate in Raw history with 20,248 people in attendance. This is incredible for a company that a year and a half ago was tarping off large areas of the arenas.
I think with Triple H taking over, it definitely helped them a lot more than what Vince could have done if he still had the company.
Well, I think a lot of it is the people are invested in the stories being told now, whereas before it was a lot of wash, rinse, and repeat just with new faces.
Yeah.
So we're getting new stories. Like the Bloodline story would have never happened like it has if Vince still had full control. Like, this has been a 3-year slow burn, and it's still burning.
It's still there, goddammit.
It's still cooking. Following that announcement, Triple H invites Cody Rhodes to the ring, where they have a video package showing his development from when he was first in WWE to then betting on himself, going out. They had a picture from TNA. And then, of course, culminating with the championship win at Mania. They played it on a little monitor in kind of like the ramp area because with the limited stage equipment, they didn't have the big Titantron. So that was kind of funny. Triple H remarked that it's bootleg. Following the video package, Cody Rhodes, of course, got to hit him with the "What do you want to talk about?" And then the crowd just erupts. They start chanting for Cody. Cody Rhodes goes on to acknowledge that Roman Reigns has been a prominent figure in boosting the show to the level that it's at and the prestige around the title with his long reign. And only Cody Rhodes could go from having Roman be hated on to then getting a "Thank you, Roman" chant out of the crowd. Then, of course, we get The Rock, who interrupts. He still is walking around with the fake title that was given to him by the widow of Muhammad Ali. I understand that it means a lot to him, but it really just looks like he's walking around with the title because he doesn't want to be left out.
Yep.
The crowd starts chanting, "Shut the fuck up," to The Rock. Then they end up getting the "what" chants in there, in between the things he was saying. The Rock baits them in during these "what" chants and tells them that Philadelphia has set a record for the largest gathering of trailer park trash. And the crowd goes nuts. And then he proceeds to cuss out the crowd, telling them to shut the fuck up. Then we end up with the awkward moment of The Rock looking at Cody and saying that he's held every title there is, but he hasn't held that one, meaning the undisputed Universal Championship. And he asks if he can hold it. Now, obviously, this is foreshadowing to a potential future bout if Cody has the title when it goes down. But Cody says that he can for a moment, but only if he can hold The Rock's title.
The pointless one.
Yes. The fake title that has no real prestige. It's got sentimental value, but no real, no prestige behind it.
Yep.
And so then we get an awkward title change where Cody's standing there awkwardly holding The Rock's toy, and The Rock is standing there holding Cody's title. The crowd starts chanting, "This is awkward," and it really was.
I remember watching that and going, "What are we doing here? Why is this a moment? Why are we making this a thing? Nobody really cares about that title except for The Rock." And it was very unneeded, and I just like in Talladega Nights, I didn't know what to do with my hands.
Well, I don't know that it was unneeded necessarily, but at the same time, I don't think that Cody's going to still have that title when Rock comes back, because Rock says that he's got to go away for a little while because he's got movies and stuff to do, Hollywood. Yeah. And the crowd starts singing goodbye to him. But then he tells Cody that whether or not Cody is champ when he comes back, that he's coming back for Cody. Cody tells him that he's looking forward to it. The Rock reminds Cody about the result of night one, where he hit him with the rock bottom and then the most electrifying move in all of entertainment, the People's Elbow.
Yep.
And reminds Cody that his story with Roman might be over, but his story with The Rock has just begun. Like, the crowd just absolutely insane for all of this. And then the moment ends, but The Rock gives Cody something. Tells him he doesn't even have to open his hand to know what it is. And then he also tells him to never break his heart again. There's been a lot of speculation as to what it was that The Rock gave Cody. A lot of people think that it was the Rolex watch, because it was reported that Cody bought matching Rolexes for the people involved in the main event of night one. I heard a theory that if that would be where they go with it, it would be incredible storytelling. But Cody's bus caught fire before WrestleMania. So this theory was that The Rock handed Cody a lighter, basically saying, "I tried to kill you before WrestleMania, and it didn't work."
That's morbid.
Yeah, but like, how insane would that be?
If Triple H did that, it'd definitely be one of those things that nobody would ever see coming.
Well, I mean, clearly people have seen it coming because it's been something that's talked about on social media.
But, say we have this conversation a year ago. There's no way, no chance that you would think that they were going to pull a lighter because it's not PG to try to kill somebody.
Well, no, but also Cody's bus wasn't intentionally started on fire.
No,
so it would just be a way that they work that into the story.
Yeah. But I don't know. Now that you say that, I like the bus idea rather than the Rolex.
Right? Like, the possibilities of the storytelling that they could go with that. There's so many layers to this story now. And when we get to the SmackDown portion, what's going on with the bloodline now. I am like, this story is far from over. It might be over between Cody and Roman, but I don't think Cody's done with the bloodline, and the WWE for sure is not done with the bloodline.
I don't think after what happened on SmackDown that the people are done with the bloodline anymore.
No, absolutely not. Bloodline has been reinvigorated.
Yep.
But following that, that was like a 40 to 45 minute portion of the show, and the first hour was commercial free. So like, they took up almost all of that commercial free time with this.
That was probably their intended plan.
Most likely, they keep it they keep that during the commercial free, so it's not broke up and they don't have that awkward time.
I was just sitting around in the ring like, now what do we do?
Right. Following this long promo, we got the first match of the night. Shinsuke Nakamura, seemingly going to be the new like gatekeeper, so to say. And he faced the NXT champion, Ilya Dragunov. During this match, they announced that the draft would be happening at the end of April. They announced that Dragunov will be a part of the draft. So as the match starts, Shinsuke starts off strong. We get good NXT chants from the crowd, nice and loud, as we've got a former NXT champion and the current NXT champion going at it. In the end, Ilya comes back and he hits all of his signature moves, the Constantine Special, the H-Bomb, and Torpedo Moscow, to seal the victory. And then the crowd goes nuts and we get chants for Ilya. I thought it was a good match. It served the purpose of showcasing Ilya Dragunov to the wider public that doesn't necessarily watch NXT. I feel Shinsuke deserves better than where he's at, but if he's happy with where he's at, that's his decision to make. So following that match, we get the Judgment Day coming out into the ring, where Finn Balor, JD McDonough, and Dirty Dom are standing in the ring, and they first announce Rhea to come out, and then they announce Damian Priest to come out with his new World Heavyweight Championship. The crowd goes nuts for Priest when the music stops. They start chanting that you deserve it, and he definitely does.
Yes.
He calls him and Rhea the Terror Twins, and then they hold up their titles, and out of nowhere, R-Truth gets between them, holding up his Raw Tag Team Championship. Priest is like done. He's like, no, we're not doing this again. Telling him that he's not, telling R-Truth that he's not in the Judgment Day, and then the crowd responds, chanting, yes, he is. The Miz comes down, and before that, R-Truth starts telling him that he knows that they're picky with who they let in their group, but he thinks that they should let the Miz join. Miz comes down, pulls Truth away from the Judgment Day, kind of making that line down the ring, and says that he don't want to be in Judgment Day. In the end, Balor challenges for the Raw tag titles, but R-Truth suggests a 3-on-3 tag match between Finn Balor, Dom, and JD McDonough against himself, The Miz, and the man you can't see. Right away, it's like, well, John Cena's coming out.
Yep.
But The Miz is like, you better not be talking about Lil Jimmy, telling him he wants to physically see the opponent or their partner. JD McDonough accepts the challenge because it's seemingly a 2-on-3 handicap match. It then goes to commercial. When it comes back, the match has already been underway. Pat McAfee calls Dirty Dom a dude wipe after you've wiped with it. So I thought that was funny.
Just a used wipe.
Yep. The match is pretty back and forth. Miz gets thrown against a barricade, and a fan starts trying to get the Miz to buy him a beer. Then we go to picture in a picture. It sucks. I absolutely hated picture in a picture. It feels like that they want to have more commercial breaks since they go the first hour with commercial free. So instead, we come back from a commercial, we have 2 minutes, and then it's, oh, hey, yeah, here's more commercials, but you're going to get a little screen that still shows you what's going on. The match ends with, obviously, Cena coming down. So the Miz is getting beat down in the ring by JD McDonough. Cena's music hits. He comes down, gets the hot tag, hits the 2 shoulder tackles, and then hits the backdrop. Then R-Truth comes in, hits a backdrop. Miz comes in, hits a backdrop. Also, Cena's backdrop looked absolutely awful. You can tell that he's not been performing regularly. The 3 of them then set up and hit the 5-knuckle shuffle on each of their respective person, immediately followed with all of them giving attitude adjustments and then pinning for 1, 2, 3. And the team of the Awesome Truth and the Man That You Can't See walks out with the win. So then we get commercial break. When we come back, we get a Bronson Reed promo. He's basically just talking about how he's going to win in the main event tonight. The main part to take away from this is we got an Uncle Howdy. It's assumed that it's a tease for Uncle Howdy. The camera just kind of glitches a little bit, and we get a quote, hello, in the glitch. It's real quick. It's like a 1, maybe 2 frame shot, so not really something that you're going to catch just watching the show. You literally got to break it down and get the frame for it.
Yep.
Then we cut to... Actually, that might have been where we go to a commercial break after that. I'm not exactly sure. But we get Dom and Rhea backstage walking. And Dom says that he's going to go talk to Pierce to make things right about the match that they just had. Then just out of nowhere, a chair flies into frame and knocking Rhea in the head. It was Liv Morgan. So your prediction of Liv Morgan being the next challenger seemingly going to come true.
Heck yeah. On a revenge tour.
Certainly. I'm guessing that'll be Backlash. Maybe Rhea drops the title at Backlash.
It could be one of those rare, not so big PLE drops, but then how long does Rhea hold on to it? Or Liv hold on to it for if she wins it? SummerSlam?
Well, I mean, that's something to talk about if that actually happens. We don't want to speculate too far in advance, because then we just start getting into too many branches on the tree.
Yeah.
Then we just end up with a big PowerPoint presentation of how everybody's related to each other.
True that. Big old family tribal tree.
Yeah. Following the assault, Dom comes back and shoves the camera away, tells him to get out of there. The camera, then we stay with it, and we get another one of these great flowing shots where the camera goes through the doors out into the arena and right down to ringside. I love these shots. I love this new direction that we're going.
They're making it more fluid instead of just sudden.
Right. There's a lot less of the same old going on. These flowing camera shots, it makes things feel more alive instead of displaced.
Yep.
Plus, it also shows that these backstage sequences are happening in real time. Like, they are actively happening as the show's going on. They're not pre-recorded, and that it makes the characters it makes the characters feel more like real.
Yeah, like this is happening in the world right now. I can't believe it. Instead of like your typical soap opera TV show kind of vibe, where it cuts into every scene.
Right. It's making the characters feel like they actually exist in the real world instead of just on TV, and I'm here for it.
We see you, Triple H.
But so when the camera gets down to ringside, Indy Hartwell is already in the ring with Candice LeRae. We get another NXT star, this time the NXT Women's Champion, Roxanne Perez. Or I should say the new NXT Women's Champion, as Roxanne Perez defeated Lyra Valkyria at Stand and Deliver to become a 2-time NXT champion and win back the title that she never lost. It was another showcase match for this time for Roxanne Perez. Candice LeRae continues her heel turn as Indy sends Roxanne to the ropes, and Candice LeRae grabs Roxy's feet and she falls down. Indy then goes on to scold Candice, so to speak, saying that she doesn't want to do that. And that leads to her getting an eye rake, followed by Pop Rocks. And Roxanne gets the win. Candice LeRae just looks on and starts telling Indy basically that this is what happens when you try to be nice.
Yeah, it was a good showcase. My only question is with the NXT Women's and Men's Champion. Are they just going to hold the championships up on the main roster, or are they going to lose them before the draft happens?
See. On NXT, they announced that in 2 weeks, they have their next TV special, Spring Break-In. And Trick Williams is now set to face Ilya Dragunov for the NXT Championship at that show. We will get to that on the NXT portion, but I'm guessing that when Ilya gets drafted to either Raw or SmackDown, he will have dropped that title. And I'm guessing the same will go for Roxanne Perez.
Yeah. All right. I was just making sure because I was like, I don't know what their plan is here, but
yep, I got
you. Tell me that, it makes more sense.
Yeah, I like how all the shows are connected now. We always had that disconnect where it seemed like each show operates within its own time slot and that's it. Where now things can happen across all the shows. Like there's another point in NXT that we'll talk about, and then it comes up again on SmackDown. So everything just kind of flows.
It blends together.
Yeah, it's making the characters feel like they exist in the real world, and it's great.
Yep.
But following the Indy and Roxanne match, we get Sami Zayn's promo. He comes down to the ring with the newly acquired Intercontinental Championship. Once again, the crowd chants, "You deserve it." Sami goes on to start praising Gunther, talking about how he was a good champion. He added all the prestige, and it felt like he was essentially just repeating Cody's promo from the start of the show.
Yep. You had to assume they were both gonna say it because they both had long reigns, so.
Well, yeah, but
they weren't gonna completely bash him, anyways.
To have them go out there only like an hour apart from each other and essentially give the same promo, like they had the same bullet points to cover. It just, even the first time I watched it, like I watched Raw twice. No, I watched Raw 3 times. My bad. So I saw this promo 3 times, and I remember even the first time watching it, it was like it's just Cody's promo coming through Sami's mouth this time.
Yep.
So
I
feel
get
like
what you're saying. So
yeah, I feel like they could have like maybe don't have Sami give the same promo on the same night, but then again it sets up like we can't do it another time because we're gonna have Sami in a match soon.
Yep.
But Imperium comes out to interrupt, and Kaiser calls the crowd peasants and tells Sami Zayn that he looks like a bum. Kaiser and Vinci surround the ring as much as two people can. Basically, they put one person on the hard cam side, one person on the other side, leaving the ramp side wide open for none other than Chad Gable to run down to even the odds. And then they go into a match. I believe that the match had picture-in-a-picture. Maybe it didn't. I don't completely remember that part. But it was a good back-and-forth match that culminated with Sammy basically giving Chad Gable the pin off of a haluva kick, followed by Chaos Theory. And then that was the match. We'll obviously touch more on this in a few moments because they came face to face later in the show. But this Chad Gable heel turn that we're probably gonna get, I'm here for it.
It started on Monday, and I'm all for it as well.
Yeah, I mean, Gable deserves the IC title. I don't foresee him winning it right now, but I feel like this could be a long-term feud where obviously we're not necessarily going to see them fighting each other every single week, but
yep.
I think that Gable loses, and that's probably what causes him to turn heel officially, and then we go a few weeks of them going back and forth on things before, or I should say a few months of them kind of going back and forth and whatnot.
Yeah, I guess the interesting thing for me was a lot of people didn't want Sammy to win against Gable for the IC title, but now it's just become more clear that they're just trying to force Gable into a heel turn, ultimately. And maybe be one of the best heels in the game, for now anyways. Who knows? Besides the Bloodline story.
Yeah, this new angle with the Bloodline is really interesting to me.
Yeah.
But so then, following that, we get a promo from Jey Uso about the main event, and the only thing that I have wrote down for this is, quote, Jey Uso cringy promo.
Huh.
That is all. So clearly I was not a fan of it. I'm sure he had a lot of yeets going on in it.
Yeet.
Yeah, I don't necessarily remember what he all said, other than just that he was going to win. But, yeah, Jey Uso, cringy promo. Then we then get a backstage scene with the three GMs, Adam Pearce, Nick Aldis, and Ava. And they're promoting the draft, talking about how there's stars on the other brands that they might be interested in and such. And Chelsea Green comes in to complain about being left out of Mania. And I loved this. The second she comes in, Adam Pearce turns his head and is like, anyone want to make a trade?
Yeah. She's turned into the
comedy
like
role.
Karen. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Her character is absolutely a Karen. They're always talking about how she wants to speak to the manager. After that, they came back from commercial and did the normal, like, showing back in the concessions area with the fans shot that we're used to. But it didn't stop. It kept going. And we got another one of these great flowing camera shots out into the arena where Chelsea Green then comes down because she's got a match that it seemed like Nick Aldis was loaning a star to Adam Pearce from their backstage segment. And sure enough, who else but Jade Cargill? Chelsea Green was not having this. She was screaming to tell them that there's no match and she didn't sign up for this, but obviously that fell on deaf ears, and Jade proceeded to squash Chelsea Green.
Squash!
Yeah. So
it was just another showcase for Jade to show that she's a powerhouse, and kind of is what it is.
yeah, it is good, like with Jade Cargill and with Braun Breaker, that they're having them face actual WWE signed competitors and not just local talent. The local talent squash matches really doesn't do much to build them as a powerhouse, in my opinion. I mean, sure, it gives them the platform to showcase their moves, but it's against, like, quote unquote no name people.
Yep.
So to have them going against actual WWE competitors is a good move in my eyes.
I like it.
Okay, so following the squash match, we get that backstage segment with Sami Zayn and Chad Gable, where Sami offers Chad a title match next week on Raw in none other than Sami's hometown, Montreal.
Canada?
Yes, sir. And, of course, Gable accepts. So next week we get an Intercontinental title match on Raw. I hope that they make that the main event. I don't feel like anything else should be placed in the main event besides that match, even though we know Sami's probably not going to lose the title. It's still, like, putting a title match not the main event is always a stretch. It can be done in certain cases, but I don't feel like this is one of them.
Well, I would say the time that you wouldn't do it is like an open challenge.
Right. But this isn't an open challenge. So
yes,
it should be the main event. I hope that it is, but we'll have to wait and see. Then we get to the main event, the Fatal 4-Way number 1 contenders match, and that is Jey Uso, Drew McIntyre, Ricochet, and Bronson Reed. Drew McIntyre comes down with a really fun pre-match promo. The crowd starts making fun of him about the 5 minutes thing, and he tells them that that he only made it 5 minutes and 46 seconds for his title reign. That was the total time, and he tells the crowd that 5 minutes is longer than most of them last in bed. He then also goes on to praise Seth. Again, we have the winners praising the loser.
Yep.
He calls Damian Priest Bondage Undertaker and calls Money in the Bank a joke because he's lost the title to it twice. And then he also refers to Damian Priest as a transitional champion before blaming CM Punk for why he lost the title.
I understand it's a story, but he did it to himself.
Right.
All he had to do was leave.
Yep. Wholeheartedly agree.
That's all you had to do was leave. And you decided to stay. You played a stupid game and you won the stupid prize.
Pretty much. But Jay comes out and cuts off the promo after he starts blaming Punk, and Drew gets absolutely irate. Pat McAfee is up on the announce desk, yeeting with the rest of the crowd.
As usual.
Right, but to see this, like, the camera zooms back so you can just see the whole crowd doing the yeet motion with Jey Uso, and you can see McAfee up on the announce desk while Michael Cole is pleading with McAfee to get down because Drew McIntyre threw the microphone at Pat McAfee because he was up on the table yeeting.
That was
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Michael
loving
Cole
these new.
With it.
Yeah, I love the freedom that these guys have now. Like, that would have never happened with Vince.
Oh, God, no.
to hear the things that they get to say on commentary now, like Michael Cole is out here just living his best life on commentary now that he doesn't have Vince in his ear telling him what to say all the time.
He's living his best life. He's kind of letting other people do their own thing. He's kind of just enjoying the moment.
For sure. I feel like he probably is enjoying his job now more than he has in the last probably 15 years.
Yeah.
But
I know part of me thinks that he probably misses Jerry Lawler, but I mean, he's just happy right now to be a part of a good era of WWE commentating.
oh, for sure. I love the dynamic between him and Pat McAfee because now Michael Cole has the creative freedom to be his own person, and Pat McAfee is just unhinged on commentary. He is every single fan sitting on their couch talking about the match as it happens. That is Pat McAfee at the commentary booth, and I love it.
Pat McAfee, they just told him, hey, basically be Logan Paul, do your own thing. People are going to love you no matter what. And boy, do they.
Oh, absolutely. They go to commercial while the whole crowd is eating, and when they come back, they announce that next week it'll be Andrade versus Dom. So that was just kind of shoehorned in there to set something up for next week.
Yep.
We notice that Jay's ribs are all taped up from spearing Jimmy off the stage at WrestleMania. And then as we get into the match, I believe it goes to picture-in-a-picture again. I get really annoyed with this because it always happens where we've just had a commercial break. We come back, we get like 2 to 3 minutes, and then it's right into picture-in-a-picture. So it's like, here, listen to these advertisements. Watch these advertisements. Then a couple minutes later, it's, here, listen to these advertisements and try to watch your show at the same time.
Yeah.
I would rather just have more commercial breaks where then we actually get to hear the action. Like, if having the first hour commercial free means that we have to have multiple picture-in-a-picture moments over the next 2 hours that ruins matches for me, I would rather just have the first hour not be commercial free.
Yeah, if they're going to have to cram in their certain slotted commercials, it's going to be infuriating for sure.
Yeah. So the match is going, and it's just a whole lot of, it's a mess. It's a fatal four-way, typical fashion. There's people everywhere. Ricochet's hitting his high spots, and a table gets set up in the corner. Jay tries to spear Bronson Reed through that table, but Bronson Reed basically just stands there and stops him in his tracks.
Yep.
Jay ends up going through the table in the end. Most of the match, I actually have this in my notes that most of the match occurs in picture-in-a-picture.
Yikes.
Yeah. Drew and Bronson Reed get in a chop battle after Jay gets put through a table, and the crowd chants meat because we get that meat madness, them big men slapping man meat.
Just dudes being guys, man.
Yeah. But I forgot to mention earlier they had the Spanish announce table at ringside for the show, so obviously we know that table's getting destroyed, and This is when it happened. Bronson Reed clears the Spanish announce table, but Jay ends up putting Bronson Reed onto the table, where then Ricochet does a springboard 450 splash from the ring to put Bronson Reed through the table. This effectively takes both of them out, and we end up with just Jay and Drew left in the ring. Drew hits Jay with a Future Shock DDT and sets up for the Claymore. He does the whole 1, 2, 3 thing, the count up, not a count down. Personally, I think that him doing this whole counting thing before he hits the move, it's good for fan involvement, but from a perspective of this guy's trying to win a match, he's just basically telling his opponent, hey, this is happening, you should get out of the way.
Yep.
But someone's been under the ring for this whole show. and that man is CM Punk. CM Punk comes out from under the ring and grabs Drew's leg, thus making him unable to run to hit the Claymore. Following the distraction from Punk, Jay hits Drew with a super kick, followed by a spear to become the number one contender for the World Heavyweight Championship. I'm assuming this is happening at Backlash.
Yeah.
So I doubt that Jay's going to win, but
there's a chance.
I mean, yeah, there's a chance. I mean, Priest could get hurt in the match and they have to call an audible or something, but I would say if everything goes as planned, Jay's not winning this title. And
No.
with what happened on SmackDown, because we are recording this on today's Sunday, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Sunday. We already know what happened on Friday, as we've alluded to earlier. So I would say that there's pretty good reason that Jay will not be winning this title at Backlash.
There's a number of reasons why, but yes.
Yeah, I mean, he's main event Jey Uso. He is a great star until the bell rings. His performance in the ring doesn't hold up to a high enough standard that I feel he should be a world champion. That being said, it's not always about that. I mean, Goldberg was relative trash in the ring, but he was dominant enough, and he had the charisma, I guess. And sometimes that's more important. If the fans are behind you and the time is right, we get them the titles. But yeah, I mean, both of the Usos are fairly lacking when it comes to singles competition in the ring.
Yeah, I've said this for a long time. Without them being a team, they're pretty much just a roster spot. I don't think they're good enough to win a title on their own, but together they're, one of the greatest teams that you've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean,
WWE.
the things that they can do as a team are great, and it definitely seems like that we're headed back towards a Usos reunion.
Yep.
But that is where Raw concludes, with Jey Uso becoming number one contender. That concludes the April 8th Monday Night Raw recap. I've been Dylan Graves. He's been John Sutton. This has been WrestleRecap. If you want to support us, you can like, share, subscribe, comment down below. Tell us how bad we're doing, how good we're doing. Give us criticism. We're aiming to be better. If you haven't checked out our news video or episode from this past week, go ahead and do that. If you haven't checked out our WrestleMania recap, we got that as well. Until next time, goodbye.